Hi and welcome to Clappia. In this video, we will see how to review statuses of every submission made to an app. This can be done manually or automatically using workflows. Let's see how to do that with the help of an example. Over here, I've created a marketing activity tracker app in which employees list the activity to be conducted and submits for approval. Here I have added a field to mention if the activity they are submitting has already been pre-approved or not. Now, based on this selection, the status of submission should change. Let me go to the Submissions tab where you can view all your submissions, and you can see I have made a submission before in which the status says submitted. Every submission that you make to an app, the status will always say submitted unless you have configured it otherwise. For this particular submission, it has not been pre-approved. So as I mentioned, based on this selection, I would like the status to be changed, either automatically or manually. First, I will take you through the process of reviewing statuses manually. In either case, we will first need to add statuses for every submission. To do that, we go to the Design app. Under Step 1 of Design app, you first create your app structure, and once that's done, you go to Step 2, which is Configuration. Then click on Status, and on the right-hand panel, click on Add Status to give different statuses for submissions. Then save this. Once you have added the statuses, we go to Step 3, which is Workflows. Now over here, we will see how to review statuses manually. So let's take an example. In this app, if the activity is not pre-approved and it is selected as no over here, then send out an approval notification. So in Workflows, I will first need to check for the condition if it is pre-approved or not. So I'll click on Add Step and then click on the If node. On the right-hand panel, under Condition, I will check if pre-approved is selected as no. So I'll type in @pre-approved to call out the variable equals to no. Click on Save. In conditions, you can apply different types of logic and conditions just like spreadsheet. We share a similar library, but in place of cell numbers, we use the concept of variable names. And you can call them out using @ and type in the field name. To verify the variable, you can go back to the Design app and you can see the variable for pre-approved. Now in the workflows, once it checks the condition, if it is not pre-approved, then send out an approval notification. So you can select the approval node. You can also send out an email notification or send out reminder emails. To know how to configure that, you can check out our video on how to configure the email node or how to set reminder emails. So for now, I'll select the approval node, and on the right-hand panel, under approvers, I will give the email address to whom the approval notification needs to be sent out to in the form of email. If there are multiple approvers, you can list them out separated by comma. Under Allowed Approval Statuses, select the statuses that the approver can select, and I will keep the email subject and body as it is, as it provides the link for the submission to be approved or rejected. Click on Save. For the approvers to receive approval notification in their inbox, they must have the appropriate permissions for this app. To give them the appropriate permission, we go to Step 5, which is Distribute. Then click on User Access, and on the right-hand panel, click on Users and give the email address of the approver, or if they already have access to your workplace, they will be mentioned over here. So for example, if I want Deepika to have access, then under Permissions, I can select Reviewer. If I give her Reviewer access, then she will be able to make changes to the status of the submission. Then you will have to click on Assign. Now let's test this out. I'll go back to App Home and make a submission. I'll fill in the details of this app really quickly. And to verify our workflow, for now I will select pre-approved as no and then click on Submit. I'll view my submission under the Submissions tab, and you can see the status still says submitted. To change the status, since I have given my email address as the approver, I will be receiving the approval notification in my inbox. So let me just check that. Now in my inbox, you can see I have received an approval notification. Once I click on this link over here, it will redirect me to the Submissions tab, and it will only show me that particular submission in which I need to change the status. On the right-hand panel of the submission, at the top, I can change the status and then click on Update. You can see the status now says approved over here. In the inbox, in my approval notification, you would have noticed that I have received it from noreply@clappia.com. If you wish to change this, you can configure the SMTP settings in your Clappia workplace. There is a separate video on how to configure it. You can also review statuses from the mobile app All you have to do is download the Clappia app via Play Store or App Store, and the moment you create your app, you'll be able to use it in the mobile app as well. So let's see how that looks like. Over here, you can see the mobile screen with the Clappia app downloaded on it. So I'll go ahead and click on it. Then I'll click on the Marketing Activity app, and you can see the app is live and ready to use. You can view submissions by clicking on this button, and if you have reviewer permission and you would like to change the status of a submission, you can click on a submission, click on the status, and then select the status. You can see the status now says approved. Now that we have seen how to change the status of a submission manually, we can also review statuses automatically. So for example, if the activity is pre-approved and the selection is yes, then no email notifications need to be sent out. The system can automatically change the submission status. To do this, we go back to Workflows. Over here, again, you will need to check the condition if it is pre-approved, since we have already given the condition to check whether it is not approved. So I will click on Start and give another if node. Under condition, I will type in @pre-approved equals to yes and save. If it is pre-approved, then change the status of the submission. So under this if node, I will click on Edit Submission. On the right-hand panel, under Select App, I have to select the app in which the submission status needs to be changed. The name of this app is Marketing Activity, so I will select Marketing Activity. Under Filters, click on Add Filter, and I will need to match a field with the submission. So normally we select the submission ID. Under this, I will type in @submission ID. This is just to match the edited submission with the submission that already exists in the app. Submission IDs are unique for every submission. Next, under Set Field Values, click on Add Field and set the field which needs to be changed, which is the submission status. Under this, click on Approved. Now save this. So this means that when a new submission is made, the workflow will check whether it is pre-approved or not. If it is pre-approved, then it will run the Edit Submission node to change the status of the submission automatically. If it is not pre-approved, then it will send out an approval notification so that the approver manually changes the status. So now let's test out this workflow. So I'll go back to App Home and make a submission. And select pre-approved as yes to test out the workflow. Click on Submit. Under Submissions tab, you can see my latest submission. The status says approved. I did not need to go through the approval notification process. So in this way, you can review your statuses automatically. Now let's check out an example of a complex app to review statuses automatically. I'll go to my dashboard, and here I have two apps, one for Inventory MIS that maintains the stock of every item that I have, and then another app which is Stock Entry to update the Inventory MIS app if any new stock comes in. So I'll click on the Inventory MIS app to show you how it looks like. Over here, it contains item code, the type, brand, price, the current stock, and unit. I have made certain submissions to this app. This is my inventory, and you can see this particular item is out of stock. I have given the various statuses for this particular app. If I go to Design App, under Configuration, click on Status, I have given these statuses. Now let's say, for example, if I get a fresh stock of this particular item, the status would then need to be changed to in stock. Now I'll go to my Stock Entry app, and here you can see I have fields identical to the Inventory MIS app because I have used the Get Data block. Again, you can check out our video on how to use the Get Data from Other Apps block available in Clappia. The Get Data block is useful for interlinking apps in Clappia. So over here, when I click on Select Item, you can see the items that were present in the Inventory MIS app. Now, if I select the item which was out of stock, you can see the current stock says 0. Now, if I get a fresh batch of this item, I can input the number of items over here under New Stock, and this change should be reflected in the Inventory MIS app over here under Current Stock. And then the status needs to be changed to In Stock. For that, I go to Workflows. In the Stock Entry app, I click on Design App, and then go to step 3, which is Workflows. I'll click on Add Step and then click on Edit Submission. On the right hand panel under Select App, since the changes need to be reflected in the Inventory MIS app, I will select Inventory MIS. To match the fields with the Inventory MIS app, I will select Item Code, and I will call out the variable for item code from the Stock Entry app. Under set field values, since I will be changing the current stock in the inventory MIS app, here I will select current stock and then here I will type in @current stock. The gray variables are the fields from the inventory MIS app. So I'll click on current stock plus new stock, which is the field from the stock entry, and then click on save. First I will run this submission just to show you how it works, and then we'll get into reviewing the status. So I'll go to app home, click on select item, select any item over here. The current stock says 10, so if I were to add maybe 2 in the inventory MIS app, it should change to 10 plus 2, which is 12. So I click on submit, go to the inventory MIS app and refresh the submissions tab. Here you can see the submission that I changed. The current stock now says 12. So now let me change the current stock for this particular item and then give a workflow to change the status of this item. So I'll go to the stock entry app, go back to the workflows. Underneath edit submission, I will need to check first if in the inventory MIS app there is sufficient stock. So say for example, if the quantity is 10, only then it should say in stock. So for that I'll give the if node. Now to check for the condition, I will need to make some slight changes in my design app. So over here, I will need to check the total of current stock and new stock. So I'll click on add field for that. Click on calculations and logic. I'll just give a label as level. Under formula, I will type in sum @current stock plus new stock. This is basically to check the total stock in the inventory MIS app. Since there is no option to check from the inventory MIS app, I will do it from here. Under condition, I will type in @level greater than 9. Click on save. So if the current stock is 10 and above, then change the status of the submission. So I'll give an edit submission node here. I will select the inventory MIS app. I will match the submission with the item code. And then under set field values, I will need to change the submission status. So I will select submission status. If the item is 10 and above, it should mention in stock. So I will select this. Now I'll make a submission to see how this workflow works. I'll go to app home, select the item which was out of stock. You can see this item says current stock as 0. And if I were to get 10 of this item, under new stock I'll mention 10. And you can see the level says 10, which is 0 plus 10. Now I'll click on submit. This submission should have triggered the workflow to change the current stock as well as the status. So I'll go to the inventory MIS app, click on refresh. And you can see this item's current stock now says 10 and the status has also changed to in stock. Similarly, you can check conditions for varying levels of quantity and then set the status for the stock accordingly. In this way, you can review statuses automatically even for complex apps. If you have any queries regarding how to review statuses automatically or manually or configurations of any other feature in Clappia, you can request support by clicking on the button over here. Or you can email us directly to support@clappia.com and we'll be happy to assist you. Thank you.